What is up? What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Robert Graves bringing you another episode of Year of the Vet. I'm so glad that you're tuning back in or joining us for the first time on Year of the Vet. I've been having so much fun with these conversations, and Year of the Vet was created for vets to come and join the conversation of transition, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the easy, the hard, the bounce back. And it's just been a phenomenal ride, just being able to talk to people that have gone through the processes and have these stories that they just want to give back to somebody who is following in their footsteps. And that was the whole purpose of You're the Vet. So we can give back to the people, the vets that are exiting the military behind us, so they don't have to have the same turmoils and trials and tribulations and fall on their face the way that we did. And that being said, Year of the Vet started because of my transition. I was found guilty in a court-martial. I didn't know what I was walking out into in the civilian world. Ended up getting a job and honorable discharged and keeping a security clearance, working in the civilian sector for 6 years and learning the ins and outs of the VA system and how to adapt to civilian life and readjust in that process, adapting to my friends and family in a place where you constantly hear, I wish you were the same person you were 10 years ago. Well, that's not the case. And so I wrote a book called How to Grow a Beard, a military transition guide back into civilian life. And so with that book being kind of the catalyst to my veteran advocacy, I started meeting other vets who have these same stories and who have had these same problems that affect them on the back end. And so that's where Year of the Vet came from, to bring those same people back onto the radio waves so you can hear their processes of how to succeed after the service. So I'm excited to bring you this particular conversation because this gentleman that I'm about to introduce you to, Landy Cordero, we went in the Marine Corps together. We actually were friends from middle school all the way up. He was the officiant at my wedding. And he is the reason that Dave Chappelle made the Keeping It Real Gone Wrong skit because this guy legitimately says what he wants when he wants. And, it's got him to where he is today. He's an owner of his own bike store, SD Moto, down in San Diego. He's on a kind of a hiatus, a sabbatical, if you will, so he can do some R&D for a project he's doing. But this guy has legitimately gotten out, cursed the Marine Corps, shook his hand to the sky and said, F you, chesty puller, and then, just turned it all around after a bad accident, which I'll let him get all up in. So I'm excited for you to hear this. It was a fun interview because it's just two friends sitting in front of a mic just going. So really, I hope you enjoy this. If you want to get in touch with Landy, you can find him on Instagram at Lando824, posting up custom builds and just hashtagging Raul drinks his own pee. I'm telling you, this is a fun conversation, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
Do intro music to Robert Show. All right.
That actually might need to be my my intro.
Right, man.
Can you do it again?
Intro to Robert Show.
Copyrighted.
All
right.
Put it in your mouth.
Well, I want to welcome you to Year of the Vet. I'm laughing because I think this is as much of a...
I'm laughing too.
As much of a good episode
With
I
you.
think this is that this is going to be.
Yeah, it is.
It's already going to be a fun episode because I'm introducing you to one of my best friends in the world, Landy Cordero, United States Marine Corps veteran, motorcycle mechanic extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Bike racer, playboy.
Test rider.
Test rider. Okay. I don't even know how to introduce this guy, so I'm gonna let him do it for himself. Landy, I thank you for coming down.
No, I thank you for having me. This is pretty rad that you're doing this whole year with the vet thing. So I'm just glad I got to, get chosen for this. This is dope.
Thanks, man, because I didn't think that this was something that was up your alley, so.
No, I'm kind of one of those guys that everything is up my alley. Like, I don't care what it is. If it's an odd job, I'll probably do it. So, yeah, this is dope, man. Let's see what this is about.
All right, cool, man. So, the format.
Can I direct this? Can I do that here?
Okay, so the format of You're the Vet is that I bring on vets who have been out of the military for a while and now that they've already walked that pathway of transition. Mm-hmm. So being transition good or bad, I know that the process for everybody is different. And you're a good story because you hated the Marine Corps. You could not get out of it quick enough. And I want to get to that. But before we even get to that, that part of your life, I want to get a nice image of the Guatemalan hockey superstars sitting in front of me right now.
Wow. All right.
So,
yeah, superstar.
Background.
You mean background as in, who was that kid that went into the Marine Corps?
Yeah. How did you get, who was pre-military Landy?
Man, pre-military Landy was kind of, stoner Landy in high school, in a sense. I was there, but chances are I was probably high going somewhere. That's the guy that I was, before the Marine Corps. And I don't know, like, my decision to join was just more of a, hey, that's a path, and that looks like a pretty, awesome path to go. I guess, it was more of an adventurous choice than, I'm going to do this so I can use this money for college, or I can use this on my resume. It was just more like, man, it looks pretty fucking fun, because we did have Chris that went a year ahead of us. Mm-hmm. And, I remember, luckily we were going together, which was, awesome. And I was like, man, me and Robert get to go do this thing. That's fucking dope. And, in retrospect, we ended up both having some interesting careers. And we were just, the way I still see it is we were just two guys that ended up going to this thing and just changing our lives completely.
This thing.
I
mean, the ultimate thing to change your life, joining the military as a 17-year-old kid, huh? But
yeah,
before that, you said you were looking for excitement. That's something you did, right? Like, this is another adventure.
Yeah.
So, are you the adventurous type? Is that kind of sum you up?
Oh, well, probably.
Or pre-military Landy?
Well, I mean, you kind of knew pre-military Landy, so what did you think?
Well, okay.
Kid was kind of off his rocker, I know that.
I kind of, and was, maybe should be, we're going to kind of drown this out. Hold on.
Okay.
There's a lot of something going on behind us.
Shoot them all.
Get out my tool shed! Okay. Maybe it's clear. Okay. So pre-military Landy, like, I know I knew it, right? I was there for it. I would say that you were a scholar. Is that correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No. I was the guy that people knew, and I was just there. I had a good time in high school. I just never really took it that serious.
Yeah.
I kind of just saw it as, oh, this is one of these things that we do as teenagers. Our job is to go to high school.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to be. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I did not really look beyond that in education. Like, I wasn't looking at college at all. I kind of knew, what was it, like sophomore year, that I wasn't going to go to college. And I think, right before our senior years, when we were both on the delayed entry program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my fate was set. I was like, hey, I signed up for this. I'm going to do it. And, up until that date we left, for me, it was just kind of hanging out and partying, kind of, just being a teenager.
Was it a career choice for you? Did you know that the military could be a career choice for you?
I obviously thought it was an option, seeing, those ahead of us, like Chris or Daniel or, just people that we knew in town that also went to the Marine Corps. We saw that it was definitely a real thing. And I guess I considered it after boot camp. Like, once we earned, the title and we were on our way to our specific jobs. You went your way to, I think it was 29 Palms.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to North Carolina. It's like, wow, this is real. We're going to, different bases for our, vocational training and, secondary training from what we got. And yeah, I guess while I was in it, it's like, wow, okay, I can see why people make a living out of this, because it's just a good structured life.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what it was, in the beginning. But, going through there as a PFC or Lance Corporal, I mean, you deal with that E3, I guess, what's the best way to call it? I guess that earning your dues stage.
Paying your dues?
Yeah, paying your dues.
Paying your dues.
And it's like, okay, being a non-rate definitely is a thing.
Yeah.
And, you just gotta pay those dues. You gotta play that part for a little bit.
So what were some of the worst dues that you had to pay? That what you would say? To you, what were the dumbest fuck games?
There's one thing you get out of the Marine Corps. Get to go play games. That should just be on the posters. Come here, play games for a little bit. I think it was adjusting to being a part of a system. And knowing that, someone just had control of what you did and what you didn't do. Games like, I don't know, I was never a fan of a field day inspection. It's like, here's some guy. That's kind of the way I thought. I was never really in that full Marine mode. I used to just say, here's some dude fucking just being a spaz. Just California kid just hanging out. But yeah, it's just, you can't control who's your leadership.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a game, but it's just like, you have to play along no matter who is in charge.
Yeah.
And you can have a difference of opinion and it won't even matter because you just don't rank.
So how did you deal with that while you were in, having to answer to people that you did not respect? Because I know we haven't really molded a perfect picture of you yet, but
Mm-hmm.
You are a very alpha
Correct.
person and alpha male, and you do have your vision on how situations should be ran.
Mm-hmm.
And did you have that prior to getting in?
I guess the way I can manipulate the situation is we all have our expectations of what it's going to be like when we go in.
What was your expectation of what it was going to be when you came in?
Oh, well, I totally expected the...
Fighting a dragon.
Yeah, fighting the lava dragon with the sword. No. I remember being a PFC and pissing off my staff NCO in charge and having to scrub a bathroom with a toothbrush. I'm like, when that actually happened, I'm like, oh my God, I saw this in a movie and I'm doing it. This is the Marine Corps. I'm like, wow, this is real life right here in the bowels of this officer's shower. But, you know, it's like, in a sense, when that happened, I was kind of laughing too. I'm like, wow, this is ridiculous. But, hey, it is what it is. I'm definitely here. And, you know, you play that part, you earn rank, and then at some point you end up leading Marines. And, you know, I guess the perfect vision was at some point after your first 4 years, you got to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, are you going to stick around this thing, or are you just going to go in your own way? I can say going into it, I was not planning on going more than 4 years.
Yeah.
I think I chose to go because, like I said, I wanted the adventure. But, you know, I think for me, it's just something I always wanted to do. I wasn't the most ideal candidate, but I did earn a lot of respect. I was just a very outspoken type of guy.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I can piss off this staff NCO here and there, but at the end of the day, I'm probably one of the last guys to ever leave, you know, the flight line, because I have a job to do.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you like me or not. If the job has to be done, it's in my benefit just to get it done.
So you picked up some skills while you're in, and
Yeah.
They kind of molded you into a, well, I guess to go back, I've known you to always have a hard work ethic.
It's that Latino in me.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. That's my excuse.
Like, when it comes to manual work, and thinking about how to be more proficient in your job, you are pretty much top line, top shelf quality worker, and it shows in what you're doing now, and even as children or young youth, I knew that because we worked together in a few jobs.
That's right, and Ben and Jerry's.
Ben and Jerry's, what is
Ben
up?
and Jerry's.
Malibu!
Robert and Landy, holding it down.
So, I
Streets
know...
of Boo. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all good. I know for a fact that you went in thinking that this was going to be a place where people are hard workers, that everybody is like-minded, that you're going to get it...
I will say that is very true.
What you put in.
Yeah.
And then you went in, and then things were a little different from your expectations.
Well, I will say for the most part, I met a lot of hardworking people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few retards here and there. That's just the truth. Sorry. Yeah, I said retard, but it's like
twice.
No matter what, you have to deal with certain people at certain times, and you know, you just have to learn to just deal with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, with the people that I served with, you know, I will say that they've been some hardworking people, and we all, you know, you can't just be given the title of Marine. You got to earn it, and there's something to it. All these people earned it, one way or another. But I can say that we all came together for the same mission, and you can't really find that in the civilian world, really.
So what was it that made you make the decision final from re-enlisting to making a decision to get out and start all over again?
Well, I wouldn't call it starting over.
Okay, why not?
Well, because the Marine Corps, it provided a lot for me. Mainly, I became a fucking man. I mean, is that not accurate? We all go in, you know, punk teenagers, and we come out supposedly killing machines.
You came out supposedly a killing machine.
Well, we came out men. That's just regardless of, you know, what kind of men. We had to grow up a lot. We had to accept our environment around us since Black Friday. I'm sure you remember that. It's like, all right, the world is changing for us, and it's time to man up and get through this. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent. What was the question again? What did I benefit from it?
I was asking, what was the mindset of staying in or getting out?
Oh, okay, yeah. At that time, I kind of dealt with a little bit of a... I don't want this to be like an all lives matter type discussion, but I dealt with racism in the Marine Corps. And it was a particular situation that just painted a negative view enough that it stuck with me for a while. I'm sure you guys remember, Landy 2005, fresh out of the military, just, I don't know, I had this chip on my shoulder and I was just pissed off all the time. And I think from this particular situation, it just painted such a negative picture that, I personally I had a hard time letting it go. And it closed my mind off to the potential career that I could have had in the Marine Corps. So
stopping you now, are you okay with talking about that situation, or are you...
Oh, yeah, I'm fine with it.
So what was the situation?
Pretty much I was fapped out. Fapped out meaning, was a fleet assistant program. Pretty much I got signed up to do that MEU. I don't know if you remember that. Mm-hmm. And a MEU is an overseas deployment via, naval ship.
Yeah.
A bunch of Navy ships travel together around the globe and just do that whole thing. Well, yeah, I was lucky enough to get chosen for that from my home unit, and then I joined up with this other unit and under someone else's supervision, and just a guy that was just not into people that weren't white. And he was the sole reason why I was put into this, what was it? It was called Combat Cargo. It was like a ship unit where they send all the fuck-ups from all the units going on this deployment together. Because it's made up of, infantry units, 53 helicopters, Weir Cobras and Hueys, and Harrier jets. So all these units were together on these ships.
Yeah.
And then, so they put me with these... I don't know, it was kind of fun after the fact, like once we were in it together, because we were just all the ship bags from each unit. And usually that kind of, situation calls for, all right, who's the lowest guy on the totem pole in the shop? He gets, low guy, sorry man, you're going to get fucked.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I was like, second or third from the bottom. And it was a real gut shot. I was like, wow, I thought I was going to go, on this ship and do my job, in regards to all the aircraft that are here.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to do my job. But no, they put me in a unit where, at the beginning we're tugging chains from end to end of the ship, just securing vehicles. And, we're just covered in rust and dirt. And it just fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And it's not the type of guys where, they're just mellow. No, they're all the troublemakers. They're all the guys that are interesting. I've ended up partying with these guys. So like I said, it wasn't all bad. Just the fact that I had to deal with it left a really bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
Because yes, we did have some good times, but I feel like everything was just kind of, I don't know, just it didn't sit well with me.
Yeah. Yeah, you knew why you had been placed there, and and
there was an opportunity to pull me out before the deployment was over, and you just didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of left, SOL by myself.
Let's see if we can put this back into like a perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So you went in, you were kind of a hard charger, but you spoke your mind. You gained respect from those. You did your job. You did it well. Yeah. And then you experienced what a ton of people experience, which is, some type of unspoken prejudice.
Yeah.
Right. And then you were just like, okay, this is not where I want to go for the next X amount of years.
Yeah, I was telling the career planner, like, don't you come over here. I don't want to talk to you.
Don't even waste your time.
Yeah, no, I would see her all the time, and I would just tell her, I'm like, you might as well check that box, because I'm just not staying. I was that guy.
Yeah.
I was, I wasn't Corporal Cordero in his last year. I was Mr. Cordero from Culver City, California.
You could have started Terminal Lance.
Yeah.
Terminal
Right?
Corporal.
I was just, my foot was so out that door.
So about before you got out, how long before?
How long before what?
How long before you got out were you already mindset like this? I'm Mr. Cordero.
I want to say that. Probably after the second deployment, the Iraq campaign. Because all that happened on that first deployment. I told you this story before. Went on the ship for those first 6 months, came back for like a week, and then the whole Iraq thing started building up, and they're like, oh, got to go back out. And my mind was just so destroyed from dealing with that whole thing that we just talked about.
Yeah.
To now it's like, fuck, man. I don't want to go do this. I just came back from a ship, and you're going to put me back on one, go to the Middle East, fight a war that I personally didn't believe in. That's something that played with my mind. We all had to play ball in a war that probably half of us didn't even believe in. But you know what? We're fucking Marines. We'll just fucking deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mentality at the end of the day. I can apply that to today's struggles. It's like, well, that's the situation. You either want to deal with it or you don't. I.e., it's not going to suck itself. Right? Yeah. I went there. Chris, you good with that? All right.
Oh, okay.
Put that in your book. Next book.
All right. So,
you're welcome.
Asterisk. It's not going to suck itself.
Edit out this part, Arlene. I know you're doing the editing here.
So you just you decided to get out. What was the process? Okay. What was the process? How did you make sure that you were ready to get out? I think at the time you were dating somebody, right? So, did you move into their house, or what was the process of getting ready to pack your sea bag for the last time and just walk away from base?
Well, at the time, I want to say that probably a year before my, I think it's terminal, not EAS. Terminal is when you go on terminal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Probably close to a year before my actual terminal day, I definitely knew that I was going to come up with a game plan. I was like, I'm definitely not staying. I'm getting out. Man, I can't wait. I'm fucking counting down, going through that routine. And I was working part-time for a motorcycle dealership. I was using my bike to commute from San Diego to LA, every couple weekends. I would come and see friends and stuff. Well, anyway, while I was there, I ended up getting a parts gig at this dealership and just working there on Saturdays. So close to the date, I've had time in the shop, and they offered me a position as soon as I got out. So,
motorcycle parts, right?
Yeah, motorcycle parts. And, it was definitely in my game plan. It was a game plan that I created because I knew I wanted to work with motorcycles. I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to do this, and it's going to be such an easy transition that I did kind of have this quick thought that after I left base, I would go to a day spa or something and just finally relax for like a weekend or something, just finally just decompress. But no, man, I went straight back to work like the following Tuesday.
Yeah.
I think I left on Friday afternoon, and Tuesday I was just right at work. Yeah. I didn't really give myself that time to really decompress. I just went right back to it because, the reality is, whether, you're getting out in a week or in a year, I mean, realistically, this is a real world. You got to have some sort of game plan.
Yeah.
And I just knew that. I'm like, well, this is an opportunity. I put in my time every Saturday. I didn't, really get to hang out much because my commitment was to the shop on Saturdays. And they just offered me an olive branch, and it turned into my career today.
So, which is what?
I currently own my own shop right now.
Okay.
But currently kind of developing some race bodywork prototype. But
also, you have all these certifications behind you in order for you to have your own shop. So I kind of want to mold the picture of how, because you do play yourself down a lot. And there was a period of our lives where we were living together as a family here.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
And, as long as I've ever known you, I learned even more about you because you do have these layers, and that's why I didn't actually think you wanted to be on a podcast. But some of those layers are that you were in a bike gang, right?
There was that brief period.
So that was the spark that lit this fire about being a mechanic and getting your own shop. So talk about, because that started while you were in the Corps. That was just a hobby, riding a bike. Can you talk about that process of turning your hobby into a career?
Oh, well, I can say that, during that time when I was commuting from San Diego to LA, it's like, when was I not on a motorcycle? And on the weekends when I was there, I was at the motorcycle shop on Saturday and up in the Malibu Canyons on Sunday. I don't know, it's just something that just clicked with me. It just made sense. So then I just started...
Had you tried anything before that?
Well, I think, especially my mother, she wanted me to go like the police officer route. Like, you went to the Marines, this would look great.
You'd be a horrible police officer.
Oh my God. I would be breaking the law every day. My partner would be arresting me. And yeah, I got my own stories with cops. I mean, I'm just a kid from LA. I'm sure a bunch of us do. But yeah, me and Johnny Law, we never really got along, man.
Well, since you're on first name basis with Mr. Law, apparently.
Mr. Law.
So, go ahead. I didn't mean to.
Oh, no. And so, yeah, I ended up going from that job to, I think you remember the Hammy Boys days, the small shop. So I went from that dealership to the small shop. And the reason why I got there was because, 2005 Landy was kind of self-destructive. Told some guy at another dealership to go F himself and F this person and that person, and just caused unnecessary drama. And I'm not going to say I blame the Marine Corps, but I think at that time I did have a short fuse. Ended up getting me fired, and luckily the guy that ran the small shop, he hated that dealership too. So he's like, hey, you got a job here? I'm like, right on. And that guy ended up being Pete. Pete's the guy that hired me. And for those that don't know, Pete is actually pretty much like my life mentor.
Mr. Miyagi of motorcycles.
Yes, he has taught me quite a bit and just opened my eyes up to a lot, really. I would have to thank him just as much for my success as just, hard work. But yeah, so that's kind of what started the whole Pete story. And then there, we specialized in Ducati. We specialize in exotics and race bikes. And for me, I'm like, man, it's dope. I got a dope job. I think I was there for like 2 years. And at the time, like, we were repairing so many race bikes that, I don't know, Pete and I came up with, well, I can build a race bike. And we built that thing, and, there was some mild success in the beginning, and I was just hooked. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to be associated with motorcycle racing or just be in the motorcycle industry.
Mm-hmm.
And
so was the next step to be taken seriously in that industry? What was the next step after saying, okay, man, this is what I want to do?
Well, at that time when I was racing, I was also kind of an independent contracting tech. So I had just finished up with Hammy Boys, and I think when the accident happened, I had taken some time off because I just wanted to focus on motorcycle racing. I'm like, oh man, I might even have a shot at this. But then the accident happened, and that whole situation was rough because it took me off my feet for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, not long after the Marine Corps, I get out, start having, some pretty good success, starting to build my name, and then I get this big, huge wreck.
Your name through mechanical work, or your
yeah,
name
through mechanical work,
okay.
and just I wasn't really super known, but people know who I was, and working with Pete helped.
Well, you're working with Pete, you're building exotics, and Pete tells you that you need to go get certain certifications.
No,
right? Okay, how did that come along?
That came along from my choosing.
Okay,
and
why?
Well, with Pete, he taught me so much that realistically in this industry, you don't necessarily need it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do the job and you're not an idiot, you're an intelligent person, you can do the job, certifications don't really matter all that much. Mm-hmm. If you can get your foot in the door, say if there's a young guy out there or woman that wants to become a motorcycle tech and they just don't know how to get their foot in the door. It's like, well, I kind of went through the whole parts route. It was just a job that I was doing, and then when I ended up working with Pete, a small shop, we were shorthanded because we were a small shop. I was kind of just going back and forth between parts and service and just learning the job back there with him, and just that fountain of knowledge alone, I got to learn Japanese motors, Italian motors, Ducati, all the exotics we were working on, old British bikes that he made me work on. I mean, we were just exposed. I was exposed to so many different types of motors that eventually I was just really comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
So then, the accident happened, and this is what leads to...
What accident?
I was actually in a race in 2007. I was in a race and I crashed at 140.
Okay.
Shattered my leg, broke a bunch of bones all over my body. I mean, it was a mess. And during that time, from a guy that was super active and, Marine and all this stuff, I went to complete solitude and just being in a stationary position. That sucked. So, the idea came to just being an independent contracting tech. Now, with that, I got to work at different dealerships, and, I was working at Newport Italian for a little bit, got exposed to Vespa, and, I mean, really, for a tech, if you can just, like I said, if you can just do the job, if you can learn the material, and, you'll just learn along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to certifications, the only reason why I did it was at that time, I think I was just kind of just overworking. I was a, tech for, I don't know, some place I was working at. And I was just over it. I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. And I used my GI Bill to pay for the training. So I got to go to MMI and just kind of just learn from a different perspective. I knew what I was doing, but I kind of just went in there I'm not going to go with an ego, I'm this guy and that. Some people got to know me and knew that I knew what I was talking about, but I just wasn't just trying to play that part. I'm like, I'm just here to see what I can learn. What haven't I looked at from that person's perspective?
Yeah.
And, it ended up being great because, I got that piece of paper that says, I am professional. I am invested in my future.
Which, realistically, again, downplaying yourself, those certifications enable you to have the opportunity to think about working for BMW.
Well, yeah, and I got selected for BMW, straight A student, this and that, perfect attendance. But the only reason why I'm downplaying it, because I'm not going to lie, there was a couple morons in there, too, that made it through.
Yeah.
That's with anything.
Yeah, but the big picture about why you want to... It's similar to...
Well, the piece of paper is playing a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Is doing what you have to say, hey, I'm playing this game because that's what you expect.
Well, because not everybody can just get their foot in the door by being themselves.
And you know what? I can say that, in a sense, you kind of have to pay your dues as well in that arena.
1,000%, yeah.
But also, it's still, at the end of the day, a piece of paper. And I am known for my body of work. Luckily, especially today with social media like Instagram, I can share my work out there.
Yeah.
Hashtag Lando824. Just letting you guys know. That's where you should go. Oh, no, it's at Lando824. Hashtag SD Moto. See, I'm still kind of new to it. But anyway, forums like that is where you can be creative and let people know, yeah, I'm more than just a mechanic, or, this is my particular art.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And, I mean, I don't even know where I was going with that. But I fucking rock. I at the end of the day, I love what I do. I get to choose what I do. I've been fortunate enough to figure out how to make it a career, especially being independent.
Yeah.
I've worked for great shops. I don't mind being an employee, but for my particular type of personality, I kind of just like being on my own.
So
and stacking my resume.
That personality of I just want to be on my own, that actually translates well to how I like to explain who you were right out of the Marine Corps. The just anti-Marine. You didn't even want to be associated with the Marine Corps for...
We'll put it this way, like that separation week, it's not MEPS, it's SEPS, right?
Yeah.
That whole process, I was one of those guys that were in there like, I'm just here because it's a check in the box. I didn't even listen to the information, no matter how important it was.
Yeah.
I will say that's definitely something that those Marines that are getting out, or any service member really, pay attention. Because I did make some major mistakes.
Yeah.
Upon not taking the time to listen, because I was so amped on just getting out of there. My art, checking the box. Got to go to that place, checking the box. And, there wasn't that benefit of your book to kind of help guide me as well. So, with that said, yeah, there was mistakes that were made as soon as I got out.
Some of the mistakes being...
One thing that maybe I should have dealt with was, like, my PTSD. I probably should have tried to deal with that immediately coming out. Because it's not just me. I've dealt with a vet that I hired who was so just wound up that, after I went through therapy, I'm like, man, it would do him some good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like a cycle that, apparently it's not that unfamiliar. But, that's one thing. And, not filing certain paperwork with certain places.
Mm-hmm.
I went years without collecting disability.
Mm-hmm.
That was my giant F up. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, they do kind of prepare you for success getting out. They give you a stack of paperwork and they're like, this is what you need, where you need to take it. All I did when I got home was grab that stack of paperwork, put it in this duffel bag, and just toss it in the back of my closet.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm fucking over it. I'm home. I'm here to hang out now. I just want to decompress from that lifestyle that I just lived.
Yeah.
Not realizing that how important it was just to follow up on that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, years later, you're kind of making it worse by being stuck in a situation where now it's going to take you a lot longer just to recoup the paperwork.
Yeah.
There is that theory that the VA takes forever, which it does. 8 weeks for this, 8 weeks for that. It's just a process, and it's just frustrating. When, getting out of the military, especially on terminal leave, there is really no excuse to not get it done.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen.
Yeah. So how long did that fuck it last? You said years, but did you get that situated before or after the accident?
I want to say it was after. Maybe that played into my mental state of where I was for the crash. I will say at the time there was some pressure, just from, the motorcycle side of it, because I did represent the shop, so I was expected to finish well. But yeah, I would say that during my recuperation, I feel like I did gain a lot of insight. I was stuck. I had nothing but time to think.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna lie, smoked a lot of weed because I was just hanging out. It's like, what do I do with my life right now? And other things were happening too. I got my truck repoed because I was injured. I couldn't go to work. Going out, I got perspective of what it's like to be in a wheelchair, and you're going to all these places and restaurants. There's really no access. That alone was just perspective that I was like, wow, that's what it feels like. This sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you get a lot of time to reflect on what's important, what's not. And I know I wasn't just going to flip my attitude overnight, but I knew at that time, like, something has to just change.
Yeah.
And
what was that?
It was just a point to just stop being pissed.
Okay.
Like, I was just mad at, at how everything just turned out, and I was just like, man, and I'm dealing with this injury.
Mm-hmm.
And who fucking knows that I'm ever going to ride again, and, how my lifestyle is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there was curveballs in recovery, there was an extra thrown in surgery that I didn't expect that prolonged my recovery. It's just like, oh, is the world shitting on me or what?
Mm-hmm.
But it passed. At some point, I got to walk again.
Yeah.
There was that day where I was at physical therapy and I got to walk. And those little, victories meant the world.
Yeah.
At that point, you just start to put everything in perspective. Like, okay, I have the ability to walk again. And, of course, my retarded ass got on a motorcycle the next day. Justin Jones, for those who know, hooked me up with his bike. He's like, take it, man. And I cruised. I just got on the beach and just cruised. But then I pulled into a parking lot and forgot that I couldn't hold any weight on my right leg and just fell right over. And some lady's helping me pick it up. No one knows that story, but I'll tell it right now. That was the only time I've ever dropped a bike in the street. But still, it was fun, man, and that was my immediate want was to get on a motorcycle the very next day.
So
everything that happened, I just had to get on a bike. It was great.
Yeah. Well, when I got out, you had already been out for a while at that point. But when I got out, I had to tap into something that was familiar to me and that made me kind of just ease into the new life that I was living. And that was scuba diving. So I got heavily involved with the Science Center.
Yeah, you and Brian.
Yeah, I was diving pretty much every day. And that was keeping me kind of at a hole because that was something that I picked up while I was with my buddies in the Corps. So I understand the necessity of holding on to something that's your own for when you transition, just to kind of give you that kind of peace of mind that, okay, things are going to be okay because I'm able to do something that I know how to do, right? So, jumping out of the bed, the very first day you can walk back on a bike, so I get that. I get that 1,000%. And So I want to kind of transition into you've had this transition out. You had these angry moments. You really haven't really touched into the like cursing the core. I didn't want to wear boots anymore, but I mean we kind of get that. I talk about you enough.
Yeah.
But what I do want to bring up is now, many years later into it, you're running your own shop. And how does the Marine Corps help you on your day-to-day, whether it's deciding on who you keep around you or how you run your shop? Like, what is the Marine Corps giving to you in that aspect? And do you think you would have it today had you not had the Marine Corps behind you and it was just like you and Pete?
No, like, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd have the balls to even own my own business without the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps plays a heavy part into what I do every day. Just the meticulous, like, I guess, field day-like inspections when it comes to motorcycles. At the end of the day, people are trusting you with their lives. They're trusting you on something that, one loose bolt here, one loose nut there can be catastrophic. I mean, it could be life or death. And you have to approach it with that kind of mentality, like, hey, this is not a game. I've dealt with techs in the past that, all I say is, oops, and it's like, no, it's not oops. This is real world stuff. Like, I wouldn't say it's overkill because I've been told that my standards are too high.
Mm-hmm.
But no, fuck that. It's these are people's investments and they want to get home at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I knew that with my meticulous nature, and I think at that time with my mind just being a lot more relaxed, I don't think 2005 Landy could have done this.
Mm-hmm.
It took time and just personal growth, but I had the know-how and the meticulous nature, and at my shop, I don't really go home until the job is done. And that's the type of Marine Corps or military in general mentality that certain people just have. Some people can own a shop and when they're done, and it'll get done when it gets done. For me, it's like, well, I have a particular job to do, and my goal is to get it done today. And it's going to get done, or else, I can't function the next day.
Mm-hmm.
We have our own personal standards, whether people agree with them or not, because sometimes, our standards are a little extreme, or how we come off to other people is one way too. Marines are kind of known for being, is passive-aggressive the term?
I'd say we're just aggressive.
Yeah, just purely aggressive. That's what it is.
I want you to know how I feel right now.
Yeah, like, this is me communicating my exact unfiltered feelings towards your fucking face.
Blunt.
Yeah. And, at some point in life, you have to realize that way doesn't really get it done.
Mm-hmm.
You have to soften up. You have to play the game in certain arenas.
Mm-hmm.
There are people out there, luckily dealing with customers that I have for so many years, dealing with different personality types. I'm able to size up who I can talk to a certain way and who I can't. It's just luck, just comes with experience. But I would say, coming out of the military, during somewhat of a post-war time, yeah, I was on edge, and there's no way that type of person could own a business.
Yeah.
That type of person had a hard time running a business.
Yeah.
Because Pete took off for corporate Aprilia, and then I was there to manage everything. And you add stress of running a business on top of just an angry person, and the formula led to eventually me getting in Iraq, and just nothing in life was firing the way it should be.
Yeah.
Just at some point, you just can't give up, and you pretty much have to create your own ideal situation.
Yeah.
After Arizona, there was that choice to go to corporate BMW or to do my own thing. And I think that the Marine Corps kind of just being my background of, yeah, we're top dog, yeah, we have this ego, and it's like, that kind of played a part of like, you know what, I can do this on my own, I don't want to be on someone else's time, and, you know, found a legitimate spot, I'm like, I think I can do it. And
which is interesting, because the Marine mentality led you to Arizona, which is, it's funny to say the Marine mentality, and I'll say that because you literally just packed up and left and didn't tell anybody that you're going to Arizona. You went out there to unwind, to work on your craft, and you went out there to perfect the person that you were chasing. I mean, is that safe to say? Yeah,
and I was lucky enough to also get a job at Z Car Source, this Datsun restoration parts company. But I got to learn about, you know, sandblasting tools and way to restore parts. It's
gotcha.
like, that just added to, you know, the resume.
Yeah.
And I got to learn that as well when I was out there. It's like, it was all pluses when I was out there, except for when my dog died. But that's another podcast altogether. 5 hours long.
You know, it's interesting because more and more stuff keeps coming up on my mind. Let me ask this. Mm-hmm. Are you in a mindset where you believe that it's you and only you, and realistically, because I know you date in and out, or, well, not really, but I know you've had a few steady girlfriends, and I know that you've been in and out of different
living. You do not have to listen to this if you don't want to.
I'm trying to walk on eggshells here.
You better.
No, but you've had the vagabond mindset, right?
Yeah.
So much so that you'd been planning a trip on the motorcycle from the West Coast to the East Coast, up to Green Bay, back down. And even as well, let's just even talk about that. How do you get to that point? Because as much as I would have loved to have gotten out and then just figure out who I am on the road, that's not what happened. And I know a lot of people kind of envy that. But what is that mindset? Are you chasing something? Or are you just trying to experience something? Are you what is that you're just able to just pick up and bounce and then come right back when you're well and ready to come right back?
Well, that motorcycle trip was the shit. It was gnarly, man.
Wait, that's in hindsight.
Yeah.
Because,
well, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know what you're asking. I just wanted to let you know, you know.
Because I remember you telling me that
if anybody can do it, just do it, because it's dope.
My body hurt.
Oh,
I'll never do it again.
Oh, I was not going to do it a second time anytime soon after that. But I've been thinking about it lately. Like, I want to do another one.
Yeah.
No, man, it's just, for me, I guess it did kind of help that I've kind of been a lifetime bachelor up until this point. I've obviously found someone that's amazing and that rocks. So, but going back then, it is kind of a give and take, because I hate to point it out because it sounds so negative, but sometimes you have to be single to do certain things like this. I've had great women in my life that, you know, across the board, marriage material, definitely go down that road, have a great life, but I think I just wasn't for it.
Yeah.
Probably at that time. And, you know, that adventurous spirit was there. It's like, I need to do something.
Yeah. So it's more the adventure spirit more than it is battling demons or some shit like that.
Yeah. Like,
it was like, I want to go fucking live.
Yeah, when I was racing, I mean, I was, you know, bachelor at the bars, and yeah, I cleaned up. I don't care. I'll say it. You guys seen, you know, my resume there. Yeah, I went there. Anyway, but yeah, you're responsible for yourself.
Yeah.
you don't have to think about anybody.
Yeah.
And that's what makes decisions like racing motorcycles or jumping on a bike and taking off. And I really didn't even plan that trip. I just got on the bike, kind of knew what I needed.
Yeah.
For the most part, didn't bring any rain gear, which was dumb. And I just said, fuck it, I'm just going to go and go check it out. And the reason for that is, I guess, I don't like excuses. There's always an excuse not to do something. I firmly believe that if you want to be somewhere else in the world, you can get there. I'm not going to go cliche and like you can be whatever you want. It's like, no, if you feel like being somewhere, just put yourself in that situation. At the time,
president.
Hey, I can jump on a motorcycle, ride over to the White House, and carry a sign saying I'm the fucking president. Hey, it's still getting it done, some one way or another. But it's like, at least when it comes to traveling, there's no excuse. Just you can say you can put yourself there and get yourself there.
What was there a key learning moment or just magical experience on that cross country bike trip?
I want to say that, man, there was a lot of good moments.
They don't have to be like philosophical. Maybe it's like,
well, they're not philosophical. You just get
don't run out of gas in Nebraska or something. No. But I mean, if you got something
in
philosophical,
Wyoming, don't do it there. I did it on the wrong road, and I barely even made it to the gas station. I will say there is a secret road in Wyoming where you can go 120 miles per hour plus. Just letting those know that want to know. It's it was like a mining road, but it was freshly paved. It was dope. Well, that was a good moment. I mean, at that particular moment when I was riding my bike, like there was no population. There was like nothing. No, I have to worry about cops. It was just pure, just open road, and the air was just warm. You're just blasting through it. I mean, you can't replace that type of feeling. I went through Missouri, before the whole Ferguson thing happened. I think it was like a couple months before it happened. I'm not sure on the dates, but Missouri's beautiful. You see on the media, obviously there was some shit going on in the streets, but man, that is a beautiful state. And I got to meet some really nice people there. Mm-hmm. Like, just the motel lady. Yeah, their job's hospitality, but she was genuinely just a really nice lady. Yeah. And I don't know, I will say that you get to meet really nice people.
Yeah. That was my experience when I traveled. When I traveled, I met an uncountable amount of people. Yeah. And
that genuinely just want to talk to you.
To just genuinely care. People inviting me in their house because they knew I'd be in town for, months at a time. Or I met a lady at a laundromat. And I had asked, have you ever traveled to LA? And she's like, no, I've got this huge big backyard I've never seen. And we were in Canada. Really? And that kind of put something in me with the mindset. Because, I like to travel too, but I'd never seen the Golden Gate Bridge or Redwood. And and so her saying that about Canada, I've got this big backyard, that was kind of an opening point for me to say, hey, I want to see behind the scenes of where we are. Yeah. Because there's so much stuff, man. There's so much stuff.
An American cross-country trip is what Americans should aspire to do. Because you see so many parts of this country that you just don't see. Yeah. And I'm talking about small town America, and it's pleasant to be there. Yeah. It's legitimately just pleasant to be in these small towns. I don't know. I can't replace that. And of course, there's magical places you can go, like Lambeau Field, for Packer fans. That was one of my goals. Yeah. And I don't know. It was rad. And talking to the tour guide, he's the one that wanted to find out about my motorcycle trip.
Because everybody's always more excited about what it is you're doing, because to them, like, that guy's given 483 tours of Lambeau Field, this year, So.
But I was there to listen to him.
Yeah.
Either way, I was actually talking to that tour guide, throughout the tour as we were moving, just kind of talking more and more, just side talking. It's just friendly conversations.
Shout out to the tour guide.
Tour guides in Lambeau Field. Go Packers.
So, kind of wrapping up what it is today, I've heard some key points where you go in, you're ready to get out. I've said it all the time.
Yeah.
Tampa Tap is one of those. I know it's called something different now, SEPs, whatever it's called. It's that point in a military member's life where they're just like, I want a Whataburger. I want something from In-N-Out. I just want to be home with my friends. They're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And you said yourself that it was a mistake to not pay attention. What are some key elements besides getting the paperwork mentality right? What are some other key elements that you would pass on to members of the military becoming veterans, or veterans who are already out kind of lost in the process of transitioning?
The medical thing is big. And I'm talking more of the mental aspect. Our particular generation, we were exposed to a particular time in history. We were a part of that. We were on the ground. That needs to be addressed by members who have been there or been in engagements like it. You need to decompress that. I carried it. For years, and I ended up finally going to my therapy. Oh man, I want to say it was like probably a year ago is when I started. Mm-hmm. So it's been 10 plus years, I think, since I've been in, and it helped. At the end of it, I was like, man, damn it, I should have done this a long time ago. I'm not much of a believer in pills and stuff, and there's a debate about that, whether you should be even taking pills to deal with PTSD, but they're there to help. There are people that work, their job is to help you. So you just have to know that these programs do exist.
Yeah.
And sometimes finding the information is kind of hard, but the best way to do it is do it while you're separating. Those last 2 weeks, I know it's going to, for me at least, I was like, all right, I'm here, get out of here. It's just do that last bit of duty, because you're doing the duty for yourself.
Yeah.
Just be vigilant.
Yeah.
Get it done,
Because it's about yourself.
Yeah.
Because nobody else, who else is taking care of you on the outside if you don't have that tight-knit family group or a family to move in with, you know what I mean?
I missed out on so much disability money that there were years where I was just never collecting it.
Yeah.
And I was struggling. And at some point, I had to somehow, it never even came up because of my struggles. My financial struggles.
How did you learn about the disability money?
I want to say it was probably through you. I think we were talking about it one day.
Okay.
And I ended up finding the paperwork, and it's like it was just waiting there.
Yeah.
But luckily that the day I did apply for it, or when they received it, at that point I started being able to collect.
Yeah.
So I got a big back pay.
Yeah.
But it's just it starts working for you the moment you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it would behoove you to do it.
So there's one more. There's one more. Yes. Big $10 word. Thank you.
Yep.
There's one more aspect that I think that you have to offer, and that's chasing something that you want with all your passion, right? And you said that you started before you even got out. And so can you talk about the importance of tuning into what it is that you're going to do right now before you get out versus tuning in to it after you get out? I mean, it helped you transition, having that kind of stepping stone to move into already.
Yeah.
And it already got your mind working into this aspect. So if somebody's looking for a new, because you were logistics for Huey's, right?
Mm-hmm. Cobras and Hueys.
So it has nothing to do with mechanical aspects of...
Well, no, doing that job taught me the hustle.
Okay.
I think the day we were going to MEPS, I changed my job at the last minute. I think you were with me. And I was actually security forces going in. And for some reason, I don't know if it was like my stoner self or something. I'm like, hey, I don't want to work that much, so give me a desk job. Ended up changing to logistics. Anyway, so...
Yeah, nice desk job.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it took me to the sandbox. But in that job, you're the guy that has to make things happen. Yeah. You're the guy that has to move your entire squadron from point A to point B any way you can do it. And that particular job taught me the hustle, taught me how to, charm my way into getting things done. And I will say in business, like, you can look back on that and say, yes, I can use that, hustle mentality to get things done. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was just pretty much 3.5 years of working deals all the time. Mm-hmm. To get things done. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, everyone has a particular mission. They have to get it done. Yeah. But I will say having that particular job, did create that hustle mentality in me.
Yeah. So you attribute all of your success on, not all of it, but a lot of it to your growth or your experience from the military. But I guess what I'm asking is, can you give any advice on finding a new road, right? Like, I got out.
Out.
For instance, I got out and I went from building radars or maintaining radars to building them and installing them. And it's something I didn't want to do, right? Like, mechanics and motorbikes is a hobby you were getting into, and you're kind of working on the weekends, so that was a little bit of transition. So what I'm saying is, like, you're in the service and you're working on weekends because you have this mindset of something that you want to achieve later on in life, okay? Yeah. Right? Because in your mind, bikes is where you want to be. Mm-hmm. So your mentality is, put myself into this position of what I want to grow and accomplish after the fact. Whether I'm in the service doing it or not, I want to be around it. And whether it turns into a job or not, you put yourself in that position.
Well, no one else is going to do it for me.
Yeah. So can you just talk on the importance of doing, right? Being a go-getter, being hungry and aggressive in your transition for what it is that you want.
I will say, if one would potentially want to own their own business one day in this type of field, it does help to go through those paying your dues stage. Learn the business from... I've actually had every type of job there is in the dealership. Parts, sales, service, service advisor, this, that. You're learning different jobs and how everything works and how the owner makes money. It was just all a learning process. Mm-hmm. In order to put yourself where you want to be, there's not a lot of thinking about it. You can just physically do it. When I opened up the motorcycle shop in San Diego, my buddy Ryan calls me up. He's like, "Hey," because we kind of joked about opening a shop together because we were going to end up in San Diego together. You say, "Hey, you want to open up a shop?" And you can't be thinking about all the things that can just not make it happen. I went to, like, the simplest goal was just go down there. Why not? Went down there. We didn't find anything for like the first hour, and I kept driving by this one place. I was like, "Ryan, I've been driving by this place all day. let me just find out how much it is. And it ended up being like the best deal. And I was like, Ryan, let's just see what happens. We didn't even really think about it. Like a week later, I just grabbed my stuff. I was moving out of here. Grabbed my stuff, went there, and just started making it happen. I mean, the secret is just fucking do it. If owning business is pretty overwhelming, it's stressful, it consumes you, you have to be obsessed with it. It is what you are. But that's just part of it. That's just part of the journey. That's being a business owner. That's the job. But if you want to attain something, like, just figure it out. Like, okay, how do I get there? Or just do it. Take the first little step. Like, hey, this guy has an idea to open up a toy factory. Or no, a toy store. All right, dude, just go down to City Hall, find out what you need. That's the very first step. Look, you're already taking a step towards it. Mm-hmm. Now you have the information, apply for a business license. Mm-hmm. That gets done. It's just a checklist. Yeah. You just have to do it. Yeah. There's so many people that can just sit around and make up excuses not to do it. Yeah. Or stay at home and play Call of Duty all day. Yeah. And, that's their life.
And the fear of failing or the fear of failing or the fear of success is a real thing, right?
It is. Totally is. And it's like the simplest concept, but for some reason or another, maybe it's ignorance. Just some people are just afraid to take an initial step. Mm-hmm. Same thing with going to the gym. You have this ideal situation of what you want, this ideal person you want to see. It's not going to happen by just thinking about it or talking about it, right? Show up the first day. Take that simple step, and that simple step can become routine. Yeah, just fucking do it. I'm a particular type of person where, the way I carry myself outside of work is one way. One would assume like, a guy just likes to drink beer and hang out. But you know what? I go to work and I take care of business because all you have to do is just show up. That's half the battle. Just be there. Yeah. It's like, well, for me, I don't get paid a show-up fee. I don't get paid hourly. I make my income by actually working. It's commission-based. Yeah. So why would I show up somewhere and not make money? Yeah. It's like, all right, showed up. That's the first part. Well, now that I'm here, I might as well fix that so I can get paid. Yeah. It's simple. I want to say it's probably simple economics in the long run. Show up, get paid. That's it. If you want stuff, you got to get paid. Yeah. When I left here, I mean, you saw the stuff I had. I had enough. Like, I had that red bike and enough stuff to fill up a parking space. Mm-hmm. Now I have my dream bike that I ended up getting that some lady knocked over. I don't like her right now.
At the ice cream parlor.
Yeah. I got my dream bike. I have a couple other bikes. I got, my toolbox, my tire machine, my equipment that I just have for my business. Mm-hmm. It's all mine. It's all been bought and paid for. Now I have my race program. That's the next level. That's what I'm investing in. Yeah. But it's progression. No matter what, it's progression. And all I'm doing every day is just showing up. Yeah. It's like, all right, this is what has to get done. Do it. Move on to the next.
So I ask everybody who comes on here, if you could bring one other veteran who has gone down the transition road and has had their ups and downs, and then you feel like they're somebody that can give back to the listeners of Year of the Vet, what would that name be and why?
Man, that's a tough one. You want a name of a vet that could benefit from this?
Nope. Name of a vet who...
Edit that out.
The letter... Give me a veteran that you feel that could be on this show to help other vets in their transition process.
Oh, you know what? Actually, one of my customers, a a guy named Steven Morales. This one's actually kind of one of the smart ones. He's, I know he just got out not too long ago, but we have that, that common factor that we're both Marines, and, it's a side conversation when he's at the shop. And right now he's kind of going down the same road that I am with the Voc Rehab application. He just happens to be doing it at the same time. And he's the one feeding me information. Like, yeah, I got my interview at this time, and, keeping up on my stuff as well. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, just since talking to that guy, he's very mellow, and I feel like he's one of those that just has it figured out. He, just got out, but he's not like one of those enraged guys that I was.
Yeah.
And, he's just going through the process of going to school right after. And now he's going to pursue further education, so why he needs Voc Rehab, which is a program that, we briefly touched on, and he has.
Voc Rehab's it's a different educational benefit provided by the VA, so.
And that's out there.
And it's out there. And it's a wonderful program. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to it.
I'm trying to apply for it as well. Yeah. I mean, it's open for everyone.
I'm using it right now, so yeah.
And the information's out there. We just have to seek it one way or another.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always coming to you for it, because
Well, I appreciate you coming and sitting down with me today, man. Like, I
love you.
I love you too, brother.
Yeah, man.
Like, there's no amount of time that could get us through just the stories we'd like to share, and so
gnarly.
But one of the biggest things that I'm glad you brought to the table today was that the progression is in the just do it. That you wake up in the morning, that you say to yourself, just get through this, just make it to work, get through this day, and see what tomorrow brings. But
that I can play that to my Marine Corps experience. It wasn't the most ideal situation, but there was a goal line.
Yeah, was
getting out honorably, and you have the benefits for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of like you have to do it.
Yeah.
There's going to be people you don't agree with. You're on a contract, so make the best of it. And when the time comes to transition out correctly. Not blow it off because you're pissed off, because you just can't wait to get out of there.
Yeah.
No, man. There's a rhyme and reason for everything, and sometimes you just have to bite your lip and just do it. Just get there.
Well, do you have any last words, or you want to end on that?
No, I would just say that I guess my philosophical words would be, not just the military, just for people in general that seek vision. Just we're on this, big blue marble once. Why not do what you want?
Yeah. YOLO.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's YOLO. It's like, yeah, if you're happy doing what you're doing, cool. If you have an actual hunger for something, it's attainable.
Yeah.
My project in particular, it's been years since I've been on a race bike.
Yeah.
And, thanks to your support and those around me, I'm back on that thing.
Yeah.
It's years later, but we have a purpose, and it's possible.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just fucking do it. It's not fucking hard.
Just fucking do it.
Grab a beer and a hammer and some nails and just get it done. Like I did with this shed that I just built. It has to get done.
Well, if you turned in today to listen to Landy Cordero talk about just
life, I talked about life.
That's it. So talk about life, man.
Talk about life.
The ups and downs, the fighter mentality of getting what you want out of it. That's what the story here was today. And I'm so glad to have had one of my best friends in the world sit down with me and just spit with me today. So for those of you who tuned in, I appreciate you tuning in once again. Please share this story with somebody who may be going through the same thing or may need to hear this particular message for their journey on transition, whether it's transition out of the military, transition out of a bad marriage, transition into another job, out of school, whatever it is they're going through in life. If this message did something for you, or didn't, and you know it will do something for somebody else, just pay it forward.
Yeah,
Anyway.
share the information.
So this is Robert Graves with Landy Cordero. This is You're the Vet. And I hope to be entertaining you soon with the next episode. So till then, take care.
Peace. That was fun, man.
Yeah,
Fantastic.